former Member of Parliament for Swami and former Minister in charge of Parliamentary Affairs, former Majority Leader, the Honourable Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu. Honourable Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu, good morning to you and thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Great, so let's get straight to it. Now, the Clerk wrote to the Electoral Commission, the Clerk to Parliament wrote to the Electoral Commission declaring the Kpandai seat, indicating that the Kpandai seat had become vacant and thus expected the Electoral Commission to organize an election in that constituency. What error did he commit? What wrong did he commit in writing that letter?
First of all, I don't know exactly the content of the letter, but you are telling me that the clerk wrote to the Electoral Commission,
yes,
declaring vacancy in the constituency. That's for that seat. That's what you are telling me. Now, if what you are telling me is right, then the clerk has no authority to declare a seat vacant. See, there are 3-4 matters that occasion a vacancy in Parliament. One, where Parliament...
Yes, Honourable, please, for purposes of emphasis, let me just read the letter verbatim to you. So let me just read the letter.
Okay.
And the letter addressed to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Attention, Mrs. Jean Mensah. Dear Madam Chairperson, occurrence of vacancy in the membership of Parliament. In exercise of the power conferred and the duty imposed on the Clerk to Parliament by Article 1125, as amended, of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic, as amended, I, Ebenezer Huma Jetro, the Clerk to Parliament, do hereby formally notify you of the occurrence of a vacancy in the membership of Parliament occasioned by the order of the High Court Tamale for a rerun of the Kpandai parliamentary elections given on the 24th day of November 2025. This notification is pursuant to the service of a court order on the Clerk to Parliament as the fourth respondent in the suit numbered NRTLHC E13 2022-2025. Accordingly, notice is hereby given and is dated 4th December. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I was saying that now I understand the content.
Yeah.
It is not that it is the clerk who declared a vacancy. The vacancy was declared by the court and communicated to the clerk. Now, in the Gyekye-Quayson case, when communication came from the court to Parliament through the clerk, the Speaker of Parliament indicated that to the extent that this matter relates to a member of Parliament at the time, Gyekye-Quayson, he is not under the jurisdiction of the Clerk of Parliament, that the Speaker is responsible. The Speaker is responsible. So, with that, the clerk was directed not to receive service. So it went back to the court, and the Speaker then was substituted for service. So what has changed? That today, service is directed at the Clerk of Parliament and it goes. And the same Speaker is the person in charge of Parliament. What has changed? Second, now because the communication or the declaration of vacancy was by the court, as happened in the Gyekye-Quayson case, when the lawyers for Gyekye-Quayson indicated to go on appeal, even though Parliament had not been served, had not been properly served the process, notifying us of the appeal, the Speaker, when he summoned leaders, indicated to us, and I'm quoting his words, that an irreparable damage will be done to Gyekye-Quayson if Parliament rushed to communicate the decision of the court to the Electoral Commission in order for them to hold a by-election. So we should wait until the processes have been exhausted, and then the space will be afforded us, that is Parliament, to communicate the vacancy to the Electoral Commission for a by-election to hold. Today, what has changed?
Well, the Speaker, while giving his ruling on the 28th of November, indicated that once the ruling had been given, they had indicated they appeal a mandatory 7-day period. And he says if processes are filed, it may serve as a restraint. In his ruling at the time, he said if the Honorable Matthew Nyindam were to file processes at the court, those processes may serve as a restraint. Is that not consistent with his position, Honorable Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu?
Yes, but the processes have been filed.
Yes.
The processes have been filed. So why the rush to communicate to the Electoral Commission?
Let me understand something.
These things, these matters were litigated in Parliament when it was indicated that the Speaker said that the lawyers for Gyekye-Quayson had indicated to him that they had filed for appeal. Right? And I remember issues were raised that merely filing the appeal does not really constitute an estoppel on Parliament to proceed to write to the Electoral Commission. And the Speaker intervening saying that this is a matter of a life or the life of a member in Parliament. And in this regard, an irreparable damage could be done to him if the appeal process was successful. In the meantime, maybe we have written to the Electoral Commission, a by-election had held, and a new person, and a new person is sworn in.
Okay. Let me
And
just.
a new person is elected. There will be serious controversy if the person elected is now pronounced to be duly elected. In the meantime, another person has been duly elected. And it's going to raise unnecessary controversy in the country. So it is the reason why we should hold on. Parliament held on. And I'm asking what has changed today.
Okay. Talking about what has changed, I'm going to get back to that shortly, but let me just get something. You make reference to the time in the Gyekye-Quayson case when the clerk was going to write, the Speaker asked the clerk to hold on. Is it the case that before the clerk would write such a letter, the clerk would have informed the Speaker?
Let's be honest with ourselves. No clerk acts suo motu in any such case. No clerk ever does so, and no such thing has ever been done by any clerk. It is the reason why when these communications come, the Speaker summons the leaders for all of us to be part of the information that is transmitted, and then we discuss it. A decision is taken, a determination is made, and the clerk is then instructed by the Speaker to write.
Okay.
So no clerk acts on his own. There shouldn't be any pretensions about this. So in the previous case,
yes,
when the clerk was said, the Speaker said, well, this matter relates to the Member of Parliament who does not come under your supervision or jurisdiction. It is I, the Speaker. So they should go back. They went back and got a new set. The Speaker was about traveling out, but he issued instructions that the clerk should not receive any searching and anything should be referred to him personally. The deputy speakers were so instructed. What has changed?
Okay.
What has changed?
As you ask what has changed, so based on your understanding of everything, is it then your position that this is the speaker's position because the clerk would have acted under instructions, would have consulted, and so this is basically the speaker departing from his earlier position?
That is all. What do you mean on that? It's the speaker's position. The clerk would not act in deference to the instructions of the speaker or contrary to the instructions given to him by the head. No clerk acts on his own in these matters. It's never happened before. Not in my life in Parliament. It's never happened before. So I think we should be very honest with ourselves and speak to the truth.
But Honorable Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu, now following all the happenings at the time, the concern, what happened also is that today, merely filing a stay of execution does not injunct a statutory organ or agency of state from the performance of its function. So what will be wrong in this case?
I've told you that we have heard these arguments before. And the speaker said, whereas he appreciates those matters, he still thinks that an irreparable damage may be done if any such thing was done. For which reason it wasn't immediately done. Right. So that's where we are. Yeah. That's where we are.
Okay. So
I think all that I'm saying relates to consistency. It relates to consistency.
Great. How about the response of the minority? I mean, you've been minority leader, you've been majority leader before. Let's look at how the minority acted in Parliament yesterday. You've been a leader in Parliament. What do you make of how they went about the protest and the reaction?
First of all, we should all be protecting the dignity of Parliament. So anything that brings down the image of Parliament cannot be condoned. But how did we get here? That is also another matter that we should interrogate. So I would say that notwithstanding true wrongs, still wouldn't make it right. So we should endeavor to protect the good image of Ghana's Parliament, and by that, the image of our democracy. Because we've come a long way. We've come a long way. And these things that are happening lately, certainly, is not the best. We should guard against it.
Okay. Please hold on 1 minute. Let me just introduce that we've been joined by Dr. Tony Aidoo, former head of monitoring and evaluation at the presidency, and Professor John Evans Attamills, and also Ghana's former ambassador to the Netherlands. Dr. Tony Aidoo, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, we're doing well. We believe that you're fine also, Dr. Tony Aidoo.
Oh, I'm hanging in.
Okay. That drew some laughter from your friend Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu.
Who?
The Honorable Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu, who is on the other line.
Oh, okay.
Great. But
I see. How are you? Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu, how are you doing?
Well,
okay.
Yeah, Dr. Tony, I'm doing fine.
Yes.
I hope you're also doing fine too.
I'm fine. It's a long time
since I owe you a visit, being a younger one.
Yeah.
I owe you a visit, being the younger person.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Tony Aidoo, I know you monitored what happened in Parliament yesterday.
Yes.
What's your take on what happened in Parliament before we get into the specifics?
Well, Yesterday, what happened was not palatable at all. Increasingly, the Ghanaian Parliament is exhibiting conduct that is not acceptable. In as much as there is a right to heckle your opponent in Parliament, there's a limit to that heckling. And yesterday it went beyond heckling. It was total attempt at filibustering. And that is not good for people who have been voted precisely to go to Parliament and exhibit democratic conduct. By democratic conduct, as we say in our local parlance, Kabi Wamin Kabi. What can we translate? Namisun Kami dear. We see and Tokwa. To the extent that the minority group didn't want the majority leader to speak, they breached democratic conduct. And then they didn't show any respect to the speaker. In their own, how shall I say, standing orders, when the speaker begins to speak, all members must sit down and listen. Not only did they fail to sit down, but they also wouldn't listen. The speech given by the majority leader was delivered in a chaotic atmosphere. And if the Hansard group managed to capture anything, then I give them good commendation for the ability to do so. It is becoming too much.
Okay. Now, as one who saw the Fourth Republic, as one who played a role in the Consultative Assembly, how do you feel when you see what's become of Ghana's democracy, particularly its parliament, over the last 5 years?
Since 1992, I feel very sorry that this our democracy have not endured to the benefit of the ordinary people. All that it has done is to create a minority class of parasites, people sitting on the neck of the people who vote them into power, to cream off, not attending to national interest but party interest. This is very bad. You were there to serve the national interest, not to serve your party or individual or class interests. On both sides of the political divide, we have seen conduct that has become too much, unbecoming. Parliament is not a marketplace for you to go and filibuster in a manner that is not honorable. All the people who took part should be stripped of their honorable title. They are not honorable. They are dishonorable people. And it shouldn't be like that.
Are you saying they should be sacked from Parliament?
First of all, the speaker would have been right if he had worked them out. Yes. And he should have worked them out. The last time I met Babin, after more than 10 years of not meeting, was at Mrs. Cecilia Johnson's funeral. And I told him to put his foot down. So many events, so many incidents have happened in Parliament, and he seems to have ignored it. Sure, it is good to protect the opposition, the minority. But when they are going wayward, you have the duty, not just the prerogative, the duty. You see, you must decide between the impact of power and the impact of field duty. Duty is much more stronger. In the court of equity, you have a duty, you perform it. You have a power, you have a choice not to use the power. But once you have a duty, you perform it. That's how it should be. And they should have worked them out.
Okay. But, Dr. Tony Aidoo, when you talk about the fact that today we focus on partisan interest and not national interest, is that not a failure of our constitution? Because I remember having this conversation with you last year on the same network at the time, and you made reference to the fact that per the constitution, the 1992 constitution, any member who actually left his political party or indicated he was going to go independent or was dismissed by his political party had no business being in parliament. Doesn't that in itself make sure that political parties control members of parliament who thus serve their interests and not the national interest?
Support behind the provision is that you stood on a particular ideology and promise when you are vying for the power. If you leave, it means you are forsaking your constituents relative to those principles and ideologies that you proposed. That was the essence of it. It's not the fault of the Constitution. It's those who are applying the Constitution principles, freedoms, and obligations wrongly. What has the Constitution got to do with it? Especially when the provision provides clear. Everything said in that article is so clear, it doesn't lend itself to any judicial interpretation.
So I mean,
that was my point.
Okay, because in the case where, for instance, in the former member of parliament in 2020, when the NPP dismissed him from the political party, Speaker Michael Quay ruled that he loses his seat. That in itself creates a situation where members of parliament would thus have to run everything they do by their political parties for fear of sanctions which could lead to their loss of to the loss of their seats.
Want to avoid that, then don't go preaching the party ideology. Go and preach your own ideology to the people to vote for you. Don't stand on the ticket of the party.
Yeah, but that defeats the national interest conversation we're having now, because what would happen is that then you're going to be preaching, you're going to be doing partisan interest.
What is partisan interest? You stood on your own platform. You told the people what you can do. The people voted for you. You are an independent member. That's it. Okay. That's how you are recognized. But you stand on the party ticket, you are propounding party ideology, party principles apply. Then you go to parliament and say that I am forsaking the platform for another platform. That's unacceptable.
Great. Now that you've raised concerns about how this is hurting our democracy and all, how do we correct this? What should be done going forward? Parliament sits today. What must the Speaker do? What must the two leaders do?
On disciplinary conduct. There's no discipline. That's the problem. You can't have democracy without the exercise of rights in a disciplinary manner.
So the Speaker must crack the whip?
Definitely, because there is no democratic right without a corresponding obligation. Absolutely, no democratic right without a corresponding obligation.
All right. Let me just hear from Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu finally on this, on what he believes should be done going forward. Honorable Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu, Parliament sits today. What should be the posturing of the leadership and of the Speaker?
I think that there's no problem whatsoever that cannot be resolved by resort to dialogue. And I think that what ought to be done this morning is for the two leaders to come together, bury the hatchet, and work to the Speaker to have a dialogue on the way forward. I think it's not beyond resolution. As for the insistence that people should be sanctioned and so on, What reminds Dr. Aidoo what his own mentor, President Rawlings used to say those days, that there cannot be any peace without justice. There cannot be any peace without justice. Much as I said at the very outset, that we need to protect the image of the Senate Parliament. Indeed, not engage in acts that will lower the esteem of the Parliament of Ghana, and indeed inflict a mortal wound on our democracy, much as I prescribe to be. We should also ensure that we are consistent and we are equitable in the application of the rules. But having said that, I think it's still not beyond resolution to ensure peace going forward.
Okay.
I can't understand why we are flip-flopping and we hop and jump. We are not being consistent with the rules as we applied them yesterday. As far as I'm concerned, nothing has changed. Let's be consistent with the application of the rules, and it will be well with our Parliament.
All right. The Honourable Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu, thank you very much. Thank you also, Dr. Tony Aidoo, for making time to join us this morning here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM.